I also have to commend her for how well she adapted to the format of Miss Universe Philippines, because it's also valid to highlight the fact that Miss World and Miss Universe are so different. Hello everyone, welcome once again to my channel. It's your boy Luis Portelles, and for today's video we have a very special one because we're going to be talking about some of the front runners, or should I say the veterans of the Miss Universe Philippines 2022 competition and their chances to win the title and represent the Philippines internationally during Miss Universe. Just a few days ago I made a video just like this one, but only about dark horses in the competition, and some of you guys told me that you wanted me to do the same but about the veterans or the front runners, and for that category I specifically picked 3 girls, and those are the ones who have competed internationally: Celeste Coresi, Katrina Llegado, and Michelle Dee. For each one of them, I will be talking about some of their strengths and weaknesses during the competition, and I will give you my overall perception about them and their chances of winning. But please let me know in the comment section, because I'm actually very curious to know, do you guys prefer to have a winner that is considered to be a dark horse or a veteran? While you're at it, don't forget to leave a like on this video so that it gets recommended to more people. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one almost every single day. And without further ado, I will see you right after the intro. Alright, so I feel like we have to start by talking about Celeste Coresi, who obviously represented the Philippines internationally during Miss Earth 2018. Of course, one of the main things that comes to mind when I talk and when I think about Celeste is her beauty. It is undeniable that Celeste has superior facial beauty as well as her body. This is something that has been demonstrated pretty much all throughout the photo shoots, all throughout the challenges, and to me that really proves that she is very close to what we consider to be the standard in beauty pageants. I do feel like, physically speaking, she does fit very well the mold of like the majority of pageant fans consider to be the perfect beauty queen. What's really refreshing about Celeste is that she is aware of this, and because of that she really exudes a lot of confidence whenever she is in public, through her social media, even through the content that she has prepared for the competition, whether it's the videos for the challenges and every single public appearance or publicity that she had to make for the pageant. You can really tell that she believes in herself and that she knows that she could easily be the next Miss Universe Philippines. Another one of Celeste's strengths is obviously her experience, because whether people like it or not, Celeste won Miss Philippines Earth back in 2018, and therefore she had the chance to represent the Philippines internationally during Miss Earth, where she placed within the top 8. And of course, although she didn't get the international title, making it into the top 8 of a pageant such as Miss Earth is already a huge accomplishment, because we know that Miss Earth is not the typical pageant. They have a more strict, more elaborate platform, and the girls have to go through a lot of different challenges in order to place and impress the judges. And I believe that I don't need to elaborate too much when I say that the Miss Earth candidates are really smart, because they have to know their things, they have to know their facts, scientific data, and do their research, so they are overall very well prepared. I will also add that for Celeste in particular, I think that when you look at her evolution from beginning to end, from the Miss Earth days up until now, she is really the one that has grown the most, in my opinion. Not only when it comes to her communication skills, to learning the language, to learning more about the country, but also just as being a little bit more relatable, a little bit more approachable. And that's exactly what I was gonna mention on the second part of my segment about her, and that is actually some of the weaknesses of Celeste as of right now in the competition. The first one is, I feel like there's still a little bit of a difficulty for some people in the audience to relate to Celeste, because of the fact that she comes from an atypical background. It's not the typical story of a girl who was born and raised in the Philippines and, you know, and just had that upbringing. She actually comes from outside, and for a lot of people she might even feel as a foreigner. However, as we mentioned during our interview here, she does have Filipino blood, and she has been putting a lot of work into learning the language, the culture. She has settled in the Philippines as well, so this is something that she has put a lot of effort into. And of course, we have to talk about the communication skills as well. Some people still give her a little bit of a pushback because of that, but I think that she's doing well. Of course, she is not the best communicator within the competition, but I also don't think that she is the worst. And thinking of the international stage in Miss Universe, I think that she will be a little bit above the average of the girls that speak English in Miss Universe, so I'm not too worried about that. If you have any other thoughts and comments about Celeste, please let me know in the comment section. But now let's talk about Katrina Llegado, who had the opportunity to represent the Philippines during Reina Hispanoamericana in 2019. Some of the strengths of Katrina, I mean, obviously we have to mention the international experience, but most importantly the fact that Katrina was able to have such a big comeback from a pageant such as Reina Hispanoamericana. No disrespect to them, but of course I think that Miss Universe Philippines, even though it's a national pageant, it's already on a different scale when it comes to the challenges. The caliber of girls that apply for Miss Universe Philippines, I think is, you know, very, very strong. So Katrina did very well during Reina Hispanoamericana in 2019, but she came into this competition this year really being a front runner and a fan favorite. And I think that's something that is very hard to achieve given the fact that it's been 3 years since she competed internationally. She has excelled pretty much for every single challenge within the competition, and for every single one of them, if she wasn't within the top picks, she was always at least above average of the other candidates. So I think that really talks about her consistency and her potential as a competitor, as a candidate, as a beauty queen overall. In my humble opinion, Katrina's biggest strength within this competition is really how relatable and how genuine she seems to be. That was really one of the highlights, one of the things that I really took with me after I had an interview with her here on the channel. By the way, for each one of the candidates that we will be talking about during this video, I actually have an interview with each one of them, so please go and check that out if you want to have a little bit more insight or picture better what I'm talking about. I think that the interviews reflect that very well. But Katrina has a talent to connect with the audience. Like, she might not be the most fluent communicator, she might not have the most specific and most appropriate word for every single scenario, but the way that she talks to you, she will make you feel like she is listening and that she is really involved in the conversation. And I feel like that's so important for a beauty queen, especially when they're aiming for a national and hopefully an international title as well. When it comes to her beauty and her overall look, I feel like out of the batch of girls that I'll be talking about, she is the one that has the most typical Filipina look that perhaps most people will be able to relate to. And I think that just based on the comments and the feedback that I've seen when it comes to Katrina, I feel like she's the one that is the most embraced in that aspect. But now, talking about some of the weaknesses of Katrina as well within the competition. So I was talking a little bit about her communication skills, and you know what? What's important about this for Katrina is that we had an open conversation about her communication skills here on the channel during our interview together. The highlight, what came out of that, is that she is aware that this is something that she's working on, but of course she is putting all of her effort into polishing herself, and at the same time reminded herself that English is not her first language. She speaks Tagalog on her everyday life, and I think that there's certain beauty in embracing your accent, embracing your background, and of course, yes, please do put the work into polishing and, you know, enhancing and maybe the delivery, but I also think that she has to embrace herself for who she is rather than listening constantly to unsolicited comments about her delivery, and I think that that will help a lot. Also, I think that she should focus sometimes a little bit into taking a moment before starting her answer just to have time to construct it, know where she wants to go with it, and then jumping and going for it. I think that is something that she would also benefit from during the competition. And the third candidate on the list that I wanted to talk about, of course, is none other than Michelle Dee, representing Makati, who also had the opportunity to represent the Philippines during Miss World 2019. Something that has really surprised me about Michelle is that she is, exquisitely beautiful when it comes to her facial features, to her body as well. But what's even more impressive is that this girl has been able to live up to the expectation of the audience up until this point in the competition. And I think that's very, very hard, because out of the batch of the 3 girls that we have, I think that Michelle is the one who had the biggest exposure when it comes to her journey during her previous pageant, because of course Miss World is arguably, for a lot of people, the second biggest pageant in the world. For some people might even be considered the biggest pageant in the world, and within Miss World she even placed within the top 12, so that's already a huge accomplishment. We did talk here on the channel about how she felt about her performance back in the day during Miss World, and, you know, her expectations and whether she wanted to go further, if she was proud of herself or not. But still, a top 12 placement at Miss World is impressive. I also have to commend her for how well she adapted to the format of Miss Universe Philippines, because it's also valid to highlight the fact that Miss World and Miss Universe, although they are pretty much the most visible pageants in the world, are so different. And I think that Michelle did that transition honestly flawlessly. When you look at everything that Michelle has presented during the competition, with the photos, with the activities, the media appearances, and even the challenges, she has always delivered quality, consistency. You can see that not only she is a very solid candidate, but that she also has a very solid team behind herself to support her in every single aspect. And I think that's so important, especially if she's trying to prepare prepare for Miss Universe Philippines, because already with that will come a lot of pressure, and when the moment comes to represent the country internationally, the pressure will get even worse. The last strength that I wanted to highlight about Michelle, and this is not something that comes from herself, but also from her background, I think that Michelle has really an established name. She has a very known and loved family in the Philippines. Her mother and her father being public figures, entrepreneurs, people who are known and respected within the country. If Michelle gets to win the crown, automatically it will elevate the image of Miss Universe Philippines, and I think that with that will come a lot of support, a lot of hype around the pageant, and this is precisely what the organization should aim for, in my opinion. So I think that if that's the route that they would like to go, Michelle is definitely the candidate for the job. Now, when it comes to some of the weaknesses of Michelle, or things that she might have to work a little bit more within the competition, the first thing is that some people might feel alienated by Michelle. And honestly, I mean this in the best possible way. This is not like shade to the audience nor shade to Michelle herself, but Michelle is a very smart woman. She is well mannered, she is well traveled, and let's face it, she comes from a background of privilege. And because of that, I feel like the average people, ourselves, including myself, most people will look up to her and will feel inspired, they will like her, but very few people can actually relate to her story. I don't know if you guys see where I'm coming from, but I don't think it's a negative thing. I just think it's something that she needs to keep in mind whenever she's making public appearances, whenever she is interacting with the audience, in order to create those meaningful connections that you expect from a beauty queen. So far, she has been doing that very well. I want to specify that, but I wanted to say it because whenever I read negative comments about Michelle or people who don't support her, it's always for something along those lines. And at the end of the day, we have to remind ourselves that even when you have privilege, even when you come from a different background, you always had to face difficulties, and you had challenges and obstacles that you had to overcome to make it where you are. So I'm pretty sure that Michelle has gone through those as well, don't get me wrong. I hope that at some point, if it's not within the competition, perhaps after the competition, she will open up a little bit about those things, because I think that by just showing some of her flaws, by being vulnerable and talking about her challenges, it will make her look more human rather than this untouchable goddess, perfect woman that has no flaws. But please let me know in the comments if you agree with me, or even if you see where I'm coming from for all of this. All right, so there you have it. You guys wanted me to give you some of my opinions about the current front runners and veterans of Miss Universe Philippines 2022. I just want to hear as well what you have to say, so go ahead and express yourself in the comments. Don't forget to leave a like on this video so that it gets recommended to more people, and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one almost every single day. Last but not least, very important, come here and give me a hug, because that's a little tradition on the channel. You know that I love you, that I appreciate you. Thank you for coming and spending a few moments out of your day here with me. Until I see you next time. I'm always struggling with my camera. Please stay safe, be kind to one another, sending you all my love, all my kisses, and I'll see you on the next one.